Welcome to Comics League Indie Wednesdays, and this is a very special one. So, you guys know that I've had. Well, first off, today we have a guest. We have Nick from Phoenix Press. And Nick, welcome to the show.
Hello. I'm making myself quite at home, aren't I?
Yes, you are. So, reason why this is special. So, Nick has been on this channel an awful lot. And you remember the very first episode that he came on to advertise his book, 2100 Samurai. And the book came out. And I happen to have read said book, both issues. And I figured I do Indie Wednesdays. How much fun would it be if I did Indie Wednesday where I actually got the creator on to talk about the book?
Yeah.
So first, Nick, refresh the audience's mind. Where'd this idea come to you? And also refresh us on the basic plot of the book.
So, Torrent Samurai is a cyberpunk samurai tale. It's kind of like an anime / Western hybrid. And it's basically like all my favorite things mixed into a blender with like my own kind of little secret spice added. By the way, that spice is love, but whatever. And yeah, so he basically has the character named Kiro, who goes from a village in the ancient Sango region of Japan, and one day a portal opens up, so him and his fiance travel to the cyberpunk future of 2100, and there Michi goes missing after an altercation, and Kiro is left to a man at a time.
Kind of like Captain America.
Yes, exactly.
Except in Japan. But and what's interesting about this book, when I was reading it, I'm like, because Nick had warned me ahead of time, I put a lot of references in this book to other things, and I'm like, check. There's like so many in this book.
Yeah.
Which makes it fun because I'm like, oh, I know what this is. Like, there's this one part. He's fighting an adversary. I'm not gonna spoil who it is, but he's fighting an adversary. He jumps away, and the adversary goes, "Impressive, most impressive." And I'm like, Darth Vader from Episode 5.
Yep.
But I'm honestly impressed how many of these you got in this book.
Well, that's where it helps being the writer. You can shove as much as you want in there.
That's true. But so what would you say? Well, first off, who's your favorite character that you got to write?
Well, I mean, I could cop out and say Kiro, which I do like writing him, but honestly, I'd probably say Quell Stormbrood. She's fun. She's really fun to write. He's actually kind of quickly becoming a fan favorite. Which, you always have that one character that people tend to latch onto.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of shows up towards the end of book 2, and then she's going to get more prominent as things go on. Yeah, I'm really happy with how her character turned out and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually really, really cool. My favorite character would have to be Tyler, particularly that one scene where Tyler's sister is aiming a shotgun at Kiro, and then the sister and then Tyler tries to push the gun down, but then Kiro ends up getting shot. So look what you did.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines is they're carrying her, and I think Judy says, "This is still not the worst thing you've ever done."
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wait a second here. What's the worst?
Backstory.
And then I love how so the three of them are talking around a table, and I turn the page, and a throwing star comes out of nowhere and embeds in one of the characters' necks. So I'm like, oh, that was a shock.
That was my Game of Thrones moment.
Yeah, because that happens all the time in the show, the sudden deaths.
Surprise, mother effer.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. By the way, I did enjoy the advertisement at the end of the book to Screecher. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes.
Tell me, where'd the inspiration for the book being all in black and white come from?
That kind of came from my my desire to make it kind of manga-esque. Originally the book was supposed to be in color, but I mean, I don't want to be all like, oh, this was some grand design. I mean, originally it was kind of like a practicality thing. It's like originally the book was supposed to be in color, and then like the color has dropped out, and then like I decided to make the book black and white. But then like the more I thought about it, the more I realized, oh, that's actually a really good idea. So it's like it started out as more of a practical thing, but like the more, and this is going into issue one, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized how good an idea it is. So I kind of decided to lean into it.
That's awesome. And speaking of the art, you happen to have a cover artist that has worked on quite a few interesting projects. Do you want to reveal to the audiences who that is?
Yes, that would be none for issue 2. I had none other than Arvell Jones do the cover.
How did you manage that?
Well, me and him actually happen to do a lot of the same conventions. Like we're kind of in like the kind of like the greater Michigan, Ohio area. So like we do a lot of the same conventions and we kind of strike up a friendship, you know. And yeah, he agreed to do it, and I'll probably be working with him again. For those who don't know, Arvell Jones, he is the co-creator of the character Misty Knight, which if you watched Luke Cage on Netflix, you'll be familiar with that character. And then he's also done All-Star Squadron, Iron Fist, and more recently, he's involved in a book called Dreams of Wakanda, which is a book kind of like about the history of like Black Panther. And Arvell Jones is a contributor.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. I love talking to him.
Yeah, I bet. And it's a fantastic cover. But even the other one too, because I like, and like in issue 1, I'm holding up to the camera. I like how like you contrast the samurai with like the cyberpunk background with all the buildings. It's a really nice contrast with all the colors.
Yeah, because like I was trying to just kind of sell the idea of like samurai cyberpunk, so that's kind of why I did that cover for the first issue. That's kind of why I want to do it that way.
So how deep into spoilers on book 2 do you want to go into?
The books, it's still kind of early. Like I've shipped out wave 1. I still need to do wave 2. So none of the major spoilers, but some light ones are fine.
Okay, well, let me tell you this. So when that character showed up in book 2, I was like, oh, that is actually really a great idea. That's actually really cool.
Yeah. Like, I actually do enjoy like mystery box storytelling. It's just unlike J.J. Abrams actually pay off what I set up.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, except you actually go to completion.
See, the key to mystery box storytelling is to know the answers before you ask the question. Like for example, let's say you have a hatch, and you got to know what's in the hatch before you show it. That was a dig at Lost, by the way.
Oh, of course, yes. Or like you have to know where Star Wars is going before you start a movie. But
Star Wars sucks. I mean, first and foremost, but like the sequel series. But like, I feel like if JJ, like, it was designed to have 3 different directors do it, which is a really stupid thing to do.
Yeah,
if
I know.
JJ Abrams had done all 3 films, it probably still would have sucked, but at least the story would have made some sort of sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's my problem. You know.
That's true. Now, here's a cool question. Who would you cast as hero in a 2100 Samurai movie?
Let's see here. Oh, Yoshi Shirado. He's the guy who he was an actor for Power Rangers Dino Thunder. He was Blue Dino Thunder.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, he'd be great.
Also, he's like such a big like fanboy of stuff. Like I feel like, and plus like he's a good like physical actor. I think he'd be perfect for Kiro.
That would work really well. So let me see. What else I want to talk. So let me ask you this. So give the fans kind of a taste of, so what other like properties do you put Easter eggs of into this book?
Oh, there's just so many of them. Plus, it's
Yeah.
been so long since I worked on the book. Some of them have kind of slipped my mind, to be fully honest. I don't want to BS you guys.
But I know Star Wars, and I got a little Blade Runner vibe from like a lot of this.
Yeah, Blade Runner was definitely an influence on it. So, like, as far as my influences were concerned, it was a mixture of Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, Batman Beyond, in kind of aspects of it. Um, like you can really kind of see that with the cover for the first issue.
Yeah.
Like that kind of that airship you see is very much kind of like Batman inspired. Um, you know.
Mm-hmm. I also like the whole idea about how like I also like the design of the cops in this book. It's actually they look a lot like stormtroopers. Is that
Yeah.
another reference to Star Wars?
Maybe.
This is not the samurai you're looking for.
He's not the samurai you're looking for.
That
You don't
would be
need
so
to
cool.
see his identification.
I don't need to see. That was a hilarious part of the Sorcerer's Apprentice movie where he goes, "You don't need to see my faculty identification card." But
Yeah,
anyway,
that movie is really. I like how that movie they actually do like a live action recreation of Fantasia scene, and
yeah.
it's actually turned out pretty good. Like okay, I can get behind this.
Mm-hmm. So, so let me ask you this: how many like issues is this series going to be?
So the first volume is going to be 5 issues. It's meant to be kind of like an ongoing, but like the story itself is basically going to be about 5 issues. With this one, the story basically is just as much Tyler's story as it is Kiro's. So these first 2 issues, I kind of have them. They are kind of designed to be like a 2-part television pilot, almost, and then going forward, you'll kind of see more standalone issues, but with like a story going forward. So you see kind of like Tyler rise, kind of like her become like his apprentice and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
And then Kiro get more acclimated to the world and whatnot. It's a really good kind of like introduction to everybody, and then I really like what I got planned out.
It looks really cool. Now, here's something that I thought of as soon as I finished reading book 2. Wouldn't it be interesting if in Screecher you kind of started to like cross over the worlds?
Well, here's the dirty little secret.
Really?
They exist in the same world, just different time periods.
I figured that you would do something like that.
So maybe a time travel stone is getting in this transportation.
Or maybe you see like the seeds of the certain company being started in like the Screecher time.
Oh yeah, that's planned out.
I knew it. I was like, yes.
Truth be told, there's a lot of integration between this and Project Access, which is like my first comic, which that one's going to need to be rebooted. But like there's kind of meant to be a lot of cross pollination between Project Access and Torrent Samurai. So you kind of see that once I get that one back up and going. And then you'll see crossovers.
Yeah, I figured that you would do that because why not? As long as you keep it like not convoluted. In other words, don't do it the way DC and Marvel do it, which I get the feeling that's the way you're going to do it. In other words,
basically my plan is the 2100 is going to be like my Beyond verse. Like they had like Superman Beyond or like Justice League Beyond, where it's like those characters or like the descendants of them being heroes in that universe. So it's like, so you might see like a 2100 version of Screecher kind of thing, like where it's not Avery Fletcher, it's a different character, like her granddaughter or grandson or whatever, like that kind of thing.
That's actually a fantastic idea.
So basically, as things kind of go, you'll kind of see like the Torrent Samurai is kind of like it's its own kind of it's in the same continuity, but because it's so far removed timeline wise, I'm allowed to kind of do my own thing with it.
That's actually a very good idea to like to like at least minimize the possibility of it becoming convoluted, because this book's in the future, so yeah, you can reference the
like
past book.
So like yeah, so the storylines won't necessarily affect each other too much. Like sure, you'll see things kind of pop up like the start of this or that, but like story, so it's like one thing won't affect the other, and that kind of really helps. Like I got plans for other stories within the 2100 continuity. Like there's this one thing, and this actually is kind of the first time I'm talking about it.
Ooh,
where
exclusive.
I got this story plan called Cyber World, where it's like this detective, where she's like partial cyborg, because in this universe, the investigative arm of the police force has been privatized. So you got con eyes and free eyes. Con eyes are contractual investigators. Free eyes are like your private eyes. And so Carol Bennett works for a con eye agency. And also the thing is, like, cyborgs are like treated like second-class citizens.
Like Blade Runner?
Kind of, yeah. And so basically you have Carol, where basically they raid in Legal Shock House, and then like she gets part of her head blown off, so she puns the very thing she wants hunted down. So she's got to like rebuild her life. Like half her head gets blown off, so she's got like a cybernetic eye. Half her brain is cybernetic, and like her ear is cybernetic, and so like that kind of affects things, and.
Can I make a suggestion? Can you have a scene where like, or like an old associate of hers goes, "You have become the very thing you swore to destroy"?
I mean, that line is definitely going to pop up.
Good, because I was saying that's a hell of a Star Wars reference right there.
Yeah, and it's so yeah, it's like, and basically the way I'm going to do that is like I'm going to have a storyline, like 1 or 2 issues where Carol shows up within Torrent Samurai, and then I'm going to give her own miniseries, origin story, and then go from there.
That works. It's really cool.
Because like originally Cyberworld was meant to be, I was actually writing that as like a television pilot, and I only got partially done with it, and then like one day I had a realization, like, Cyberworld and Torrent Samurai are basically within the same world. Like their settings are so similar, I might as well just have them take place in the same universe. So eventually I'm going to have it be I got this really cool image for like the poster where it's going to be her, and like she has kind of like her hair down covering her eye, but it kind of sticks out like a Terminator kind of thing.
Oh, you mean it's like it's going to be covering her eye, but like you can see like a red glow or something like that?
Yeah.
That's badass.
Because like in the first part of the story, she's actually going to have kind of like half of her face covered to cover the eye, because like the eye is just kind of red. And then kind of like for a story beat, she's actually going to like cut off that part of her hair as kind of like a acceptance of who she is kind of thing.
And at some point, is she going to say, "I'll be back"?
I mean, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm thinking of all these references.
But yeah, like for example, I got this really cool line where it's like at the end of the storyline, she goes down to sit down at like the Megabyte bar, which is like the hangout portion of it.
Such a great idea.
And there's going to be like a caption where it says, "My name is Carol Bennett, and I'm a cyborg." Kind of like the AA thing.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of cool stuff with that. I mean, there's so many stories I have in my head. So much stuff. And I'm just trying to build up to it, like, I don't want to go too far beyond the scope of this review, but like, I got so much stuff.
And I think part of the reason why I like it, and part of the reason why I started like Indie Wednesday and I started collecting a bunch of indie books, mostly Comicsgate books, but that's because they're awesome. But the reason why I started paying more attention to indie books like yours is because it's an original idea that I don't think has been done before. Like, let's say the samurai to the far future.
Like we've had kind of.
I want to see what happens.
Like we've had shades of it. Like a lot of people compare it to Samurai Jack. And then there's also Blade of the Immortal. So it's like, it's not like it hasn't been done before. It's not just I'd argue that the idea hasn't been played out yet. Is what I would argue.
Yeah, exactly, and that's part of I guess the reason why a lot of these ideas are more fleshed out because you're not, for one thing, you're not hampered by like massive continuity because you're just starting off, and I'm sure that you're going to manage your continuity a lot better than Marvel and DC does. So
yeah, I got things these planned out, like, like for example, the first crossovers are going to be relatively small. Like the first big crossover I got planned is a Product Access Turn Samurai crossover, kind of thing, where basically Hero and Tyler to modern times. So I got this. So basically, I got this cool storyline planned where Tyler and Kiro get attacked by this like one decrepit cyborg looking thing. He's just like, kill me, and it's revealed it's Giles. Where it's the year 2100, and it's basically they did capture him, and they use the buyout technology as a basis for the Biofreak. And so basically they find a time portal, which is in like the old NebCorp headquarters. I mean, this is Product Access, lore. And so Kiro and Tyler get transported back to Product Access's time, the time period where Product Access take place. One of the characters is going to be revealed to be Tyler's like grandmother kind of thing. And then then they basically kind of stop the event, like stop Kiro, stop Giles from being kidnapped, but because time is like predetermined, they like get he spills blood, so they actually get Giles' blood, so like they don't need him, so but they can still go forward with the Biofreak program, and then it's going to be revealed that like a character from Project Axis is actually Mr. Ensnar, which by the way, this is kind of a spoiler, but like Mr. Ensnar is like a brain in the jar kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool.
So like basically, the whole thing is like Mr. Ensnar gets like so rich he buys out NebCorp and then starts Ensnar, and that's kind of what leads to the whole thing. That's going to be a really cool storyline, and then because yeah, like I've actually kind of planned Product Access to integrate fairly tightly with Turn Samurai. Like I even got like a second crossover planned later on the story of Product Access, where it's like characters that that you'll see, they act like where Giles and Co actually go to the Torn Samurai, kind of reverse of it. I got a lot planned.
Well, and I'm here for the whole thing because I'll do more of this because what you effectively did is that. So I was reading these throughout the day when I was on my breaks, and I just binged through all of them because I'm like, okay, this is dope. I'm not stopping.
and then
go
issue
ahead.
3 of Turn Samurai is going to be coming out next spring.
Awesome. I absolutely promote it here. We would love to continue this partnership because this is great.
Yeah, good thing going for sure.
But and yeah, it's a really it's a really cool idea. And but another thing that I get a lot of advice from this is Last Samurai. A little bit, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I probably did it. Like, I wouldn't say it had any direct influence on me, but like, I'm a big fan of that film. So to claim it didn't have any influence would be kind of stupid.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And maybe a little TMNT kind of.
Interesting.
And like in that, there's lots of like comedic elements. There's also really cool action scenes. And remember, TMNT also started as a black and white comic. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Definitely super cool. And I'm definitely glad I picked up the 2 issues. And I will definitely be picking up issue 3 when it comes out. And Screecher and all the crossovers you ever do.
I will say, as far as my dialogue, I'm definitely kind of come from the school of Tarantino when it comes to dialogue. I kind of model the way I write my dialogue off the way like Tarantino does it, like just very casual, kind of like, because like I hate it when people in films talk like screenwriters. It just takes me out of the film.
But did I tell you, on one of my videos, it was a how to fix Marvel. Someone put a comment on there that says, this is what would happen if Tarantino had a comic book YouTube channel.
minus the feet pics.
Minus the feet pics. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'll take it. But so I think that's a good place to leave it. I give this book a solid 10 out of 10. I enjoyed it. The art's great. The comedy I got. I like how, you see, here's what you were able to do is that when you put in a lot of times when writers try and put a lot of like references to other things in the books, it can get a little overwhelming at times or a little annoying at times, but you manage to get that, like, strike that balance so it's not like reference story, reference.
My thing is, I love references. I love putting references and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but like, it has to make sense within the context of the story.
Yeah,
you know, it has to make sense. Like, would a character say this at this exact moment? Like, is it believable that, like, you know, or like, you know, like, for example, some missed opportunities in issue 2. You see that junk pile. I could have put some stuff in there. Like, I could have put some sci-fi stuff in there in that junk pile, and it would have been fine. I just didn't think of it. That's a mistake on my part.
Yeah, but anyway, I definitely got a lot of those references to the point where I'm like, oh, nice one.
Oh, I got some really good ones planned. I'll tell you after we finish. You know, but yeah.
So anyway, so it's on Indiegogo. You guys can check it out. I'll put in the link below in the description box below. And Nick, you have anything else to say to the Comics League community?
So if you want to buy the book, it is currently on demand on Indiegogo. That will be ending this Friday. And beyond that, it will be put on Gumroad and Global Comics at some point, probably within the next month or so. I just don't really have a date in mind, but In Demand will be ending here shortly. So if you want to grab a book, time is running thin, but beyond that, you know, it will be available soon.
Awesome. Definitely do that. Definitely support my a buddy of mine who's pretty much has become a comics leaguer himself. So he showed me many times. I'm like, you know what? It's fine.
It's fine. You're one of us now.
Yeah, I guess. But all right. Stay at work, everyone. Bye-bye.